Hello everyone, it's Rebecca from Chloe's Creative Cards, and today I'm going to show you how to make this card project using our Grande Botanical butterfly. So to get started, we're going to use an 8x8 inch card blank. So I'll just grab that. And then I've taken some pink mirror card and we're going to stick that onto here using some dry clear glue. I'll just grab that. So I'm just going to apply some glue to the back, like so. Could of course use your all-purpose glue, but it's just the glue that I had to hand today. So we're going to stick that down onto there, like so. I've then taken a piece of patterned paper, and this one's from the Summer Florals paper pad. I'm going to turn that over and I'm just going to stick that down. I'm going to put some foam pads on the back of here, like so. Okay. And just peel those off the back. And stick that down. We're going for a very pink and purple pastel card today. So I'm going to stick that down. I've then taken some crystal white pearl card and we're just going to edge that with some crystalline glitter. So I'll just grab some scrap paper and my chisel tip glue pen, and we're just going to follow around the edge, dragging that chisel tip towards me, like so. Just going to do all four sides, and then we will cover that in Crystallina. So I've got a tub of Crystallina here. I'm just going to dunk that in. I think this might be Crystal Crush actually. Yeah, Crystal Crush. We do Crystal Crush instead. They're both lovely glitters. So we'll just move that. And then again, I'm going to pop some foam pads on the back of here. Like so. Peel off the backs. And then stick that down onto my card blank as well. There we go. And then I've taken a piece of kunzite pearl card and I've got another piece of patterned paper, and I've just popped some of the pink self-adhesive jewels around the edge. So we're going to stick this one on flat. So again, just applying some glue to the back, like so. And then pop that down. And then I'm going to pop some foam pads on this one. Again, we're using quite a few foam pads today, but if you want to make this flat, you equally could do that as well. You could just glue them together instead of using the foam pads, and obviously it'll be probably cheaper for posting. We do like a lot of dimension here, so I do like to use quite a few foam pads. Get rid of those. And then we'll pop that down. So, and that's kind of the base for our cards. You can see how it's already starting to come together. Okay, so next I'm going to take a piece of crystal white pearl card, and I've got the largest oval from our 5x7 decorative oval set. So I'm just going to tape that onto here with some low tack tape. And we're going to run that through our die cutting machine. So I'll just grab in my plates. I'm going to use the base plate first. And then I'm going to use my plastic shim my metal shim, with it being an intricate die facing up with my cardstock on top, and then play it on the top. And then we'll run that through. You can see we've got that beautiful shape all cut out there. I'm just going to ease that away from the die. There we go. You can see we've got a few little pieces left in. So I'm just going to move that out of the way. Bring in my scrap paper, try and keep tidy, and a pokey tool. And we're just going to carefully push those through, like so. There we go. On there, on there, a few at the top. Then pop those out. Okay. Then I'm going to edge that with some glue. Use my chisel tip glue pen again. So we're just going to carefully drag, sort of scribble it around the edges really, just to make sure it's coated in some glue. See, I've left one little piece in over here. There we go. And then I'm going to bring in my crystal crush again. Dunk that in all the way around, like so. It just gives it that lovely glittery border. So I'm going to stick this onto my card now. We're going to pop a piece of ribbon on first. So I'm going to pop the piece of ribbon across the middle. So I'm just going to trim this edge, if I can find my scissors. So I'm just going to trim that to a straight edge. Now you could wrap this ribbon around the pieces if you want to do that first before you stick it on, but as I've realised, I've stuck mine on, so we're just going to stick it down. I'm just going to make that edge, not sure what's on those scissors, nice and straight, and I'm just going to add a very thin line and then pop that on there like so, and then again a very thin line on this side and just let that sit on there like so, and then we can even sort of pop a little blob in the middle because our oval is going to go over there, and then I'll just carefully trim that away. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to stick some foam pads on the back of our oval. Like so. And then that's going to kind of go sort of more towards the side than the centre. I'll stick that down onto there. And then what I've done next is I've just taken the next oval in the set and die cut that from Kunzite card, and again just edged that with some Crystallina or Crystal Crush Sparklicious glitter, whichever one you prefer, whichever one you have in your stash. So we'll just add some foam pads onto that and stick that one down like so. And then I've taken the next decorative oval and cut that from some pink mirror card. So again, we'll just stick that one down with some foam pads. Like so. that lovely base to our card. Okay, so we'll get started on our Grande Botanical butterfly next. So I'm going to grab my stamp. It's a lovely large size butterfly, this one. And then I've just taken a piece of paper from that summer floral paper pad. And it's just that one, but turned over. So I'm going to use this side where it's kind of the ombre pink to purple. And then I'll take my anti-static bag and dust that over. Make sure any fingerprints are off there. And then we're going to ink up my stamp. Now, because it's a large stamp, you want to make sure that there's plenty of ink on there. So lots of light tapping all over the image. So I can feel that that's nice and juicy now, that stamp. And then we're going to stamp that onto here. So just pick a piece where you would like the butterfly to go. I'm going to go about here. And then make sure that you're pressing nice and firmly all over the image. Obviously, with it being a large image, it's great to kind of be right over the top. But I really don't want to get my head in the way so you can't see. So hopefully we'll have a lovely crisp image in a second. Peel that off. Oh, look, and you can see. Not sure if you can see that, but you can see the ink on there. Okay, so I've just grabbed some scrap paper again, and then I'm going to use my opaque bright white wow powder. I'm going to sprinkle that across, and then you can see we've got that lovely image. Oh, I think I've just missed a bit of powder at the top. There we go. Okay, pop that away. And then we're going to heat that up. So just waiting for that powder to melt and change, and then moving the heat tool over the image. And you can see we've got that lovely embossed butterfly. Okay, so we're going to take the die from the set as well and just lay that over the top, and we're going to tape that into place. Okay, so just get that lined up as best you can. Like so. That might have slightly moved down here. Lovely, right, so I'm going to bring in my die cut machine. I think we'll get away, because it's a kind of an open die, I think we'll just get away with our plastic. We'll give it a try. So we'll just run that through the machine. Go. You can see that's all cut out lovely. So you can see we've got that lovely butterfly there. Okay, we're going to make 3 layers to our butterfly though. So I've done the same thing, but this time I've just done it on white vellum. Okay, but what we're going to do with the white vellum layers, we're going to flip it over, and then I have got Kitsch Flamingo and Shaded Lilac Distress Oxide. I'm just going to grab my brushes. So we're going to ink this up. So I'm going to grab some scrap paper again so we don't get the mat dirty. And I'm going to do the top part pink. So I'm just going to ink that up. And I'm doing this on the back of the butterfly. So like so. Ink that up. And then we'll do the other side. Ink that up. And then I'm going to use another brush and I'm going to take the lilac colour. And we're going to do the bottom of the butterfly. I'm just going to blend that up a little bit into the pink. Go. And you can see how we've got that lovely ombre. If I flip that over, you can see how the purple shines at the bottom and then we've got the pink at the top. Okay, I'll just pop those away. So we're going to pop that to one side as well. And then we're going to make one final layer. And this time we're going to use some acetate. So I've got some heat resistant acetate. I'm just going to dust over that with an anti-static bag. And just tap off the excess. I'm going to bring in my butterfly stamp again. And we're going to ink that up. I'm not going to put too much ink on this time because it's on acetate. It tends to slide around a little bit. So it's just trying to be as careful as we can. Okay, so again, over the acetate and very gently like so, peel that off and then we're going to cover that with opaque bright white again. Sharp flicks like so, and then we're going to heat that up. Again, just moving the heat tool over the image as it starts to melt and change. It does melt a lot quicker on acetate. Okay, now because this one's on acetate, it's a lot harder to kind of die cut it just with it being plastic. So I find it much easier to just use my scissors and it doesn't take me too long, and you don't have to be too careful as well because you're not going to see the edges. So I'm just trimming round like so. All the way around. And you can see that was nice and easy to cut out. I think I've just missed a bit of heat in here, so I'm just going to heat that last little bit. There we go. Okay, then we'll start to layer up our butterfly. So I'm going to start with our printed our paper one. And we're going to just take this one and fold the body of the butterfly on each side, like so. Just to create those wings to kind of flutter up a little bit. Just going to add a little bit of glue down the body and then hold that into place. Like so, just for a few seconds, just for it to grab. Again, we're then going to use, we're going to fold down each side of the body on the acetate layer. And then I'm just going to grab some 3D glue gel just to stick that one down. There we go, just with it being plastic, it just grabs a little bit easier. I'm just going to add a little blob down the centre of the body, like so, and then stick that one on. And again, you've got that lovely 3-layered butterfly look. Now I've taken 3 of the 10mm sparklers, and we're going to add that to the body of the butterfly. So I'm just going to add a blob to the back of each and stick them on. Like so. There we go. You can see we've got that beautiful butterfly made up. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my card and then we're going to stick that onto there. So I'm going to add a blob of glue onto each side of the butterfly and stick that into place. Just gives you a little bit of time to manoeuvre it where you'd like it to go. Okay, so we're going to do our sentiment now. So I'm just going to bring in that piece of paper that we used to cut the butterfly out of. And just remove that die from there. And then I'm just going to dust over this section. And then I've taken one of the sentiments from the Birthday Happiness set. And I'm just going to ink that up. And then I'm going to kind of stamp it here. So I've got a little bit of ombre still going on. So stamp that down. And then we're going to set that with some metallic silver superfine. I'm just going to sprinkle that over. And then we'll heat that up. And then I'm going to bring in my guillotine and we're just going to trim around this. I'm just carefully trimming around a bit of that, like so. And then I'm going to stick that onto a piece of kunzite pearl card. So I'm just going to trim a piece to match. So just kind of match them up really. Just to create a small border. Okay. Then we will just edge this with some glitter. So again, with that chisel tip glue pen around all 4 sides. And dunk it in the glitter. And then we'll pop some foam pads on the back of here. Let's trim those down. Like so. And then stick that onto here. just add some foam pads on the back of here. I'm going to add this on a double layer, so I'm just going to pop one on top of the other. And then bring in my card again, and that's just going to go into the bottom corner, like so. And then I've just tied a triple bow, so we're going to stick that onto the side here. So again with some glue gel, blob on the back and stick that down. And then I've taken one of the 12mm sparklers, blob on the back and stick that into the middle. And then to finish the card, I have taken some of our pretty pink sequins and I've just added them to a sticky dot, and I've added a little one of the self-adhesive sparkles in the centre, and we're just going to dot these onto the card. So anywhere I think needs a little sparkle, like so. And last one we will stick up here. Just make sure my butterfly is still in the correct position, and then that would be your finished card. Really hope you've enjoyed today's demonstration. As always, all of the materials used below will be listed below in the description. Thank you for watching. Bye.